Have you ever thought to yourself or heard someone say to you, I perform this Jewish ritual, I go to synagogue or I light Shabbat candles or I put on tefillin or whatever it is, and I'm not really feeling much from it. It just doesn't do much for me. And so I'm just not even sure if I'm going to continue because I just don't see what I'm gaining from this. It's so interesting because when it comes to our relationships, not with God, but with other human beings, those kinds of laws, those kinds of interactions, like giving charity, for example. Imagine if someone knocks on your door asking for money for food just to get by, and you say, I'm not sure if giving this money to this person is going to do much for me. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel afterwards. Do I really need this? It's so interesting because we know that we just wouldn't be thinking on these lines. We wouldn't be thinking about how we benefit from this. The whole issue is not about us. It's about the other person. It's about their needs, not our needs. It's about the fact that we are needed by them. Someone needs us to do something for them. And so we suddenly turn it outwards and it no longer becomes an inwards experience, which is in many ways just self-centered and selfish. And rather it becomes about the other and serving the other. And this is so intuitive to us. So the very question of what this does for me is actually irrelevant when it comes to our relationships with other human beings. The question is only, am I needed? And this is part of the problem that happens to many people when they experience and try to practice Jewish rituals, Jewish mitzvot commandments when it comes to us and our relationship with God. We often ask ourselves, how is this making me feel? Am I getting more religious as a result? There was a woman that went to speak to Rabbi Manis Friedman in America, and she was considering going into a mikveh every month, a Jewish ritual bath. And she said to the rabbi, Rabbi, I'm a little bit concerned though. Is this going to mean that I'm going to start feeling all religious and different? And because I'm not sure I want to be overly religious. I'm a bit concerned about that. And he said, the only thing you're going to feel when you go into that mikveh is wet. He was saying, get out of your own head, get out of what you feel this is doing to you. Although, of course, doing good things certainly does have a good impact on oneself. But we shouldn't be focused on how religious this makes me feel, how spiritual it makes me feel. The question is simply, am I needed to do this? And this is why it's so essential to see God not as a remote being that has no needs whatsoever. If he created us and he gave us these mitzvot, these commandments, they are essential to him. They mean something to him. He needs it. And therefore, in the same way as when someone asks us for money, for charity, and we serve them because they need it, so too that should be our relationship when it comes to Jewish commandments, mitzvot, rituals, with regard to our relationship with God. The question is not, what does this do for me? But, am I needed? Does God need me to do this? And it's a much lighter, much more beautiful way to practice Judaism, to think every morning when I'm putting on tefillin, not am I going to get rewarded for this? How's it going to make me feel? But God needs me to do this. It means something to him. I'm doing it for him. And what a great feeling that is to know that you can move the Creator. And people often look for reasons to try to understand the commandments that don't make so much sense to us. Like, for example, the mikveh, like tefillin, like etc., etc. Imagine if your partner, for example, says, please can you not leave that chair in that funny position each day when you get up from the table? And you say to them, why? And the other person gets irritated by that. They just told you why. Because it bothers them. But you say, no, I need to understand why. Because in other words, you will only do it if it fits into your agenda, if you feel comfortable with it. But we know really, no, they've just given you the most important reason. What's much more important about their request than anything that might make sense to you is the fact that it means something to them. It would mean something to them that you do it. And that's the highest form of relationship, where you're simply concerned with the other being's well-being. And so too with God, when it comes to these rituals, these commandments that he asks us to do in terms of our relationship with him, the most important question should not be why and what's happening to me as a result and why does it matter to him, but simply it matters to him. Of course, we can learn about the details of it and get a greater, deeper understanding, but the most moving and compelling reason of all is doing this matters to him. It means something to him. What could be a greater joy than knowing that you can serve your Creator? You can actually serve him. You can actually do something for him.